going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and tonight we're going to be talking about a topic you guys are probably really eager to hear more about, and that's Zombies Chronicles 2. A topic that I've always said I'd address if any new information did become public. Now, shall I remind you, I did make a video a couple of months back really roasting this topic a little bit. I'll have that video linked down below in the description. As I said in that video, I've been tired of this topic for quite some time. It's become more cringe than anything to really think about, considering it was originally planned for Black Ops 4 and just never happened. So, as I mentioned in that video, I do find it pretty hypocritical that the same people who claim the rumors about Chronicles 2 were fake during BO4, and the same people who didn't even like BO4 to begin with, are now saying that Chronicles 2 should come out and should even come out for Black Ops Cold War, which is also a game that got fairly criticized over the past year, and now people are looking back at it because of the COD cycle and saying, wow, it really had it good with Cold War, now that Vanguard Zombies is a bit of a dump. So it's crazy to see how the tides have turned a little bit, but as we'll get into, it's just crazy how Chronicles 2 would have actually conceptually fit in Black Ops 4 more than any other game that we've seen, and it didn't come out for that game. So I still personally find it difficult to find out where it would even work in Cold War, and especially a game like Vanguard, as we'll get into. But before we jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, and be sure to show some love to tonight's sponsor. Now, tonight's video is sponsored by Atlas VPN. A big concern in the gaming world is having your data taken from you, but with Atlas VPN, you can stay under the radar when playing games or browsing the web while retaining ultra-fast connection speeds. You can also prevent websites from tracking your info and selling targeted ads to you. You don't want private conversations to be read by the websites you use either. It blocks all malicious links, ads, and trackers, but will notify you when someone is trying to steal your data. One of the best features is being able to view content that is blocked in your region, whether that be a website or a show on Netflix. We all know the struggle when it comes to things like that. Just log in with Atlas VPN and you can get access to videos that aren't normally available to you by changing your IP location. You can also get discounts on products that may be cheaper in other regions too. Right now, Atlas VPN is running a huge discount, which means you can get a 3-year subscription for just $1.39 a month. Yes, $1.39 with a 30-day money-back guarantee if you're not satisfied. It protects unlimited devices with just one subscription. Time is running out though, so get your deal by clicking on the link down in this video's description, and thank you to Atlas VPN for sponsoring tonight's video. Now back to the video. As I've addressed many times on the channel, there's Twitter accounts that pop up every now and again that may have legitimate information. There's Twitter accounts that just clout chase. I mean, sometimes it's hard to tell which is which, but the truth is always revealed at the end of the day. I'll always expose that for you guys. But there is an account known as COD Perseus who has posted some fairly reliable information in the past. Many COD partners and other big channels have covered information posted by this individual, and it's unclear to what extent this individual knows information. Is it from a third party? Is it this person that personally gets the info and works somewhere that's top secret? I mean, there's a lot of questions with this, but this person has posted, Zombies Chronicles 2 is not scrapped yet. So that's obviously vague. That's obviously not something that we can really, create a whole conversation around. It's not really any information that we can say, okay, it's going to be for this specific Call of Duty. It's going to feature these maps and will cost this amount of money. I mean, this can mean anything at this point, and we don't know if this is true. The reason I'm addressing this is because in the case it is true that it's really not scrapped, I'm sure you guys are wondering, well, isn't now the best time to drop this DLC considering how poor Vanguard Zombies is performing? And shall I remind you that it's actually not that simple, as I'll get into. But like I already mentioned, we've seen this before with Black Ops 4, because towards the end of that game's DLC season, once everybody already knew that Treyarch was, taking charge with COD 2020, and there were issues behind the scenes with Sledgehammer, once we figured that out, and once, some prolific leakers in the community started posting everything to know about Modern Warfare, and even Warzone's Battle Royale, those same people had come out and said, look, the map pack was on hold, wasn't going to come out for BO4, and was going to be ported to COD 2020. So that kind of told us that the maps wouldn't have to be remade from the ground up for COD 2020, which is Black Ops Cold War, and that, I guess because the engines were relatively similar between Black Ops 4 and Cold War, they were able to, keep the maps on deck, and of course have to make changes to them if they would have released in Black Ops Cold War, but wouldn't have to start over from scratch. But now that Cold War season is over, we're like, okay, those maps didn't come out, there's no sign of them whatsoever, and if you think about it from a story perspective, I just don't know how that would work, or how map pack like that could fit in a game like Cold War. I mean, sure, they could just be released as, some bonuses just for gameplay, but I doubt Treyarch has interest in that. They always have a purpose with every piece of content they do release across multiplayer and zombies for the DLC season. So now if we look at, okay, where could a Chronicles 2 drop realistically if it's not scrapped? You know, what's the future like for this map pack? Well, let me tell you this. It's more than likely not Vanguard, and I want to say that with 99.9% confidence because, look, not only did Vanguard Zombies suffer from a lack of time that Treyarch had to make it, but it almost wasn't even the time that did the most damage to the game mode. It was the shift in engine, right? Because Vanguard is on the Modern Warfare engine, whereas Cold War was not. So this was Treyarch's first experience dealing with the Modern Warfare engine, so they start from scratch with everything they were working on, especially for zombies, which they didn't have much time to do clearly because look at how bare bones their Unfung is. And yeah, it's probably likely that Treyarch will end up using the Modern Warfare engine for COD 2023, and sure, that's fine. I don't mind that at all, but it takes time for developers to adjust to, you know, a whole new set of tools like that. They can't just copy paste things from the old engine and make everything work. I'm not an engineer, I'm not a game developer, I don't understand, you know, the specifics with these things, but that's almost a given considering what is public information out there about how game development does work. It's not that hard to comprehend, at least in my opinion, but all in all, it's like, okay, well, if the map's reported from Black Ops 4 to Cold War, cool, that's great. That means they could exist at some point and could end up releasing, but they can't just plop those over to Vanguard with ease and say, okay, here's your Victis maps. And that's not even to mention how story-wise there is just no way to make any of that work. I mean, as cool as a World War II era transit, Diaries and Buried would sound, there just isn't any logical way to make those maps work. And I almost cringe at the idea that there are people out there that genuinely believe there is a chance they could drop in Vanguard. I just don't think it makes any sense at all. Not even going with story and even gameplay now and with the engine, but then you look at the time constraints specifically because, okay, if Treyarch already was, you know, short on time to make Cold War and that game's DLC season, then to jump onto Vanguard Zombies to clutch for Sledgehammer, and they have to build a foundation for COD 2023, their next game, how on earth would they have time to, you know, rebuild maps from the ground up that were done for previous games and somehow make that work in every possible way for Vanguard Zombies when they already don't have enough time, as it seems, to polish their Unfung and to add some other DLC updates that the game mode desperately needs. Now, I think the icing on the cake here, aside from the fact I already had this video planned out because of the rumor we addressed earlier, is that the actual idea of Zombies Chronicles 2 was finally addressed by Treyarch for the very first time today. For the first time in Treyarch Zombies history, a developer finally acknowledged ZC2 itself, and as you guys can see, there was a tweet put out by expert designer Kevin Drew essentially praising the new update coming to Black Ops Cold War with the Vanguard integration. We're going to talk more about that tomorrow, of course. And he gets asked about Zombies Chronicles 2, and funny enough, Kevin then replies with, "It feels like I want to give $10,000 to whoever can make ZC2 and get these people out of my mentions." So this tells me a couple of different things. First off, what I'll say is that it's not cheap to get any DLC update, especially for a AAA game, and this tweet was kind of playing a joke on the recent report that a YouTuber actually offered $10,000 to whoever could mod a Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild multiplayer, which obviously also isn't easy to do, and I think that report kind of solidifies the fact that many people out there don't know how game development works. $10,000 just won't cut it. It might not even cover the legal proceedings to get something like that off the ground. So yeah, maybe $10,000 could help out an indie studio or, you know, some private developers who aren't being managed by a massive publisher like Activision. Sure, I mean, fair enough. But the tweet also comes across as, look, people are getting tired over at Treyarch or other studios of hearing about this Zombies Chronicles 2 topic that shouldn't even be a topic of discussion anymore, and if anything, only should have been when it made the most sense, and that is Black Ops 4. But it's definitely frustrating to see comments all over Twitter and Reddit now, which essentially call Treyarch, you know, out of touch, claiming that they don't know what the community wants, and the fact that it's ridiculous Treyarch doesn't already have Chronicles 2 in development, despite the success of the first one. And I'm like, hold on, Treyarch doesn't know what we want, but Black Ops 4 as a whole is essentially a giant Zombies Chronicles 2 in terms of ether, because as a result of the success of Chronicles 1 in 2017, what did they do in Black Ops 4? They released a bunch of reimaginings. All the maps that hadn't been remastered yet were brought into Black Ops 4, except for the 3 Victis maps. So Chronicles 2 does exist, just minus the 3 maps that we're still waiting for. And in terms of those Victis maps now, yeah, their future is unknown, but I want to say the reimaginings that are in Black Ops 4 are as a result of the fact people wanted more remasters after Chronicles 1 came out. Now, a reason why I'm passionate about talking about this topic tonight is because people out there haven't really addressed the facts when it comes to Treyarch development right now. And the facts right now, as they seem, are that 1, Treyarch's A team is probably building the foundation for COD 2023 and going full force on that to ensure a smooth development cycle, whereas their B team is handling Duran Fung and Vanguard Zombies going forward. And there could even be a C team. And yeah, maybe there's a C team that says, okay guys, let's go ahead and drop some more content for Cold War Zombies. But then it kind of gets confusing, right? Because why would Activision want Treyarch to say, okay, let's abandon what's going on with Vanguard Zombies right now, take people's focus away from this prequel story being told, and take everybody back to Treyarch's previous COD? I mean, hey, I'd actually prefer that. Trust me when I tell you, I would prefer that. But I just don't see it being realistic from a standpoint of either Activision or Treyarch, since it defeats the purpose of what's being established right now with Vanguard. Now, people have pointed out, look, you go to the Black Ops Cold War message of the day, and there's no mention about Duran Fung at all. Treyarch's probably not even proud of Duran Fung as of now. They're probably ashamed that they didn't have enough time to, fully complete their vision. It was out of their control completely to release Duran Fung in the state that it's in, and I feel for them. I really do. It wasn't their fault that everything ended up the way that it did. But I can guarantee you they'd feel probably even worse if all of a sudden they're like, hey guys, ignore our new game mode Duran Fung, go back to Cold War because they have some more maps, releasing over there. It just wouldn't work. Now let me throw a hypothetical scenario at you guys, right? Because Kino is already in Vanguard Zombie, surprisingly. It's a region in Duran Fung, but because this is on the Modern Warfare engine and not on the one that Cold War used or Black Ops 4, they couldn't just port over Kino very easily from the first Zombies Chronicles, because if they would have done that, then hey, would have had the full Kino to explore in Duran Fung. But you can clearly tell in Duran Fung, it's only a very small portion of Kino actually laid out here in this level design. It's not the entire layout, and I doubt they're going to expand it later, because if they do, it'll probably make Duran Fung look a little bit more silly. It'll make it look like it definitely was an incomplete product at launch. We know that it is. But, you can bet we probably won't get the full version of that World at War classic. So can we end up seeing maps like Verrückt or Der Riese added later on in the DLC cycle? There's other regions we can warp to, or other maps and experiences entirely that aren't connected to Duran Fung. Sure, wouldn't Nocturne and Toten even fit in this game theoretically, since, hey, Project N Station does play a big role in the story, and it just happened, right during the start of the Vanguard Zombie story. So I wouldn't mind a Nocturne and Toten survival map. I really wouldn't, but that map already got plenty of love over in Cold War. Kino was also thought to have been included in Modern Toten. I think it would have made the most sense because the theater was actually down the street from where we were at, and I'm still shocked that they didn't take advantage of that. So maybe there is a plan to include Kino at some point in Vanguard, but if so, this could be a new meaning for Zombies Chronicles 2 altogether. Maybe it's not the Victis maps, and it's just World at War experiences that they're gonna reimagine somehow to fit this new narrative, right? World War II era maps from the old Ether storyline that could be re-envisioned with the new Dark Ether storyline. Now, we could also fairly say maybe there's a different purpose that Zombies Chronicles 2 is going to serve for COD 2023, Treyarch's next game, but the sound of that is of course frustrating, right? People out there who were expecting it 100% in Black Ops 4 because the evidence was right in front of our faces, not just from gaming scoopers, but literally the assets of the Victis maps in that game. It's been years now, and the maps haven't come out, so at this point it's like, hey, we've been waiting this long, add another couple of years to that, and maybe it'll happen. But with how poor Vanguard Zombies is performing, you would think it's now or never for them to drop ZC2. And it's almost like if it doesn't come out this year, that could even serve as some proof that it doesn't exist anymore, or it did get scrapped, or they have to remake the maps from the ground up on this new engine to where it'll take a couple of years. I mean, it could be proof of anything if it doesn't come out this year. I understand that, and I acknowledge it 100%. But I just think this is a really complicated conversation, especially now that Treyarch is working with a brand new engine that is nothing like Black Ops Cold War or Black Ops 4, where maps are able to be easily ported between one another. I mean, quick example as well, maps like Hijacked and Raid were 100% kind of on deck for them to release in Black Ops 4 multiplayer since they were already in Blackout. That never happened, but hey, what do you know? They just magically popped up as DLC for Cold War multiplayer. So you see what I mean? It's easy to port over maps that are on similar engines, if not the same one, but when they make a big jump to a whole new engine, it's just not that simple. Now, I'm sure you guys also saw the announcement on Twitter already, but thank you so much for all the support you guys have shown me on the channel, whether it's videos, live streams, even some love on Facebook Gaming. It really means the world to me, and it's opened up the doors to so many life-changing opportunities for me, especially right here, a new partnership with Gfuel, where you can use code DYNAMITE to save 10% off any order permanently. But this weekend, and many more weekends to come, you can use code DYNAMITE to save 30% off any Gfuel order, and I believe there will be a boost like this to up it to 30% once or twice every month. I'll keep you guys updated with that, but seriously, it means the world to me. But that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Leave all your thoughts down below in the comment section. What are you guys thinking about Zombies Chronicles 2? Does it work for Call of Duty Vanguard? I don't think so. Do you think it's even possible they update Black Ops Cold War? I also don't think that's likely. And what are your thoughts on the Victis maps? Do they still exist anymore? Or will we end up seeing some World at War recreations in the form of a new Chronicles 2 at some point in the DLC season? Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everybody.